All right, guys, I know I'm going a little bit earlier here live for the night stream here. Gonna be recapping the Dell Technologies match play tournament, and then I will be getting into the Corrales Championship as well. So if you have any questions for that, definitely make sure to get that in. We got Paul here. Good to see Kisner and Kuchar get the win today. Yeah, honestly, that makes that tournament grouping a lot more interesting. The thing with JT is that he's always a slow starter, so I don't want to say it was expected that he would lose, but he got killed by Kuchar. That was pretty shocking to me to see. Yeah, so I didn't even read the rest of your comment. JT is always hot and cold. So yeah, today he was definitely cold. He starts off slow, so he could get hot these next 2 days and go out and win it. That wouldn't shock anyone. But really, honestly, guys, my favorite bracket grouping is that Tony Finau, Jason Kokrak, Will Zalatoris, Dylan Fratelli grouping. That Kokrak, Zalatoris match was awesome. Okay, they were tied heading into the 16th hole. Zalatoris hit a nice shot into a par five to take the one up lead, and then Kokrak got it back on the next hole, and then ended up taking the win on the last hole. That one was phenomenal. And then you had Dylan Fratelli going out and showing Tony Finau who is boss. So that was kind of fun to see as well. So overall, just good stuff there so far for round one. But let's kind of get into the round one reactions here, and I'll pull it up. So yeah, just kind of going it over. Freaking Rory, the pool ball. That's the first time I've seen a golf shot end up in a pool during a tournament. And hey, I get it. It's perfectly fun for a player there to hit a golf ball into the water. That's a fun thing to do. So whatever. Good for Rory there, I guess. It was cool to see. It was cool to see a golfer find water on a hole that isn't surrounded by water, ended up in a pool. But he got destroyed by Poulter. Very much like JT though. Rory is a guy that typically does start off slow as well. So it's not shocking that Rory, I guess, started off slow there, but it was shocking how badly he got killed. The Cameron Smith Lanto Griffin matchup, that was a fun one as well. You had Cameron Smith and Lanto really fighting each other off the whole day, and then Cam Smith ended up coming through, which ended up being a clutch one for me. Andy Sullivan with a nice little upset there over Xander. Let's see here. Berger dominated. English, that was kind of a clutch win there. Brendan Todd, I think he leapt out on 18 for that to be a Harris English win. Let's see here. What else? Brian Harman. Oh, I need him to win. I got a lot hanging on Brian Harman winning. Lost by one there to Patrick Cantlay. Lots of close calls there in that matchup as well. I was watching that kind of closely there as well. But Bryson lost to Rogenier. Crazy, because I don't know if you guys watched the max entry lineup process video there, but he was in like 40% of my builds. I'm like, no, we cannot have that happening. And it did. It ended up happening. Any tips for round one showdown Corrales? I will have that here in a second after I get done kind of just covering the Dell, and I'll get into the Corrales there. So just give me, I don't know, 5 more minutes here. Streelman ended up winning his grouping. That was nice to see. But the crazy thing here is that it's hard to get excited about any build that you currently have going right now. I think the norm was like 3 out of 6 wins for DFS builds was the norm after round one, or I guess the round one grouping. So like I think it was like 6% had 5 out of 6 wins in day one, and then like 2% had 6 out of 6 wins after day one. So it's one of those tournaments where you really don't know how well you're truly doing up until I would say like the Elite Eight, and even still, as long as you have the winner, you can still cash. It's pretty crazy. It's a crazy event like that. But yeah, let's get into round two real quick. Kind of what we can expect here as well. So we got Patrick Cantlay, Carlos Ortiz. That's a toss-up. Obviously, I'm kind of cheering for Carlos Ortiz there. I had a decent amount of him. We got Hideki and Harmon there. I'm hoping that Harmon wins. I kind of expect him to. Patrick Reed probably going to be able to beat Bezuidenhout. Joaquin Neiman, Bubba, that was a good one. Patrick Reed with the clutch putt there to have those holes, or to have that grouping. Let's see here. So will JT bounce back? I don't know. That's going to be a close one. Obviously, Kevin Kisner is the head-to-head god, if you will. If he goes out and like wins this tournament this year, just book it. He's the best head-to-head player that there is. Let's see here. Let's get this brightness up a little bit. There we go. So Answer versus Kevin Streelman, that's a pretty interesting one to me. I fully expect Paul Casey to beat Taylor Gooch there. I kind of expect that. Let's see here. Any other ones that are kind of sticking out? Cam Smith over Ian Poulter. I hope so. I hope he comes through. That'd be huge. But no other real big ones. How about Sebastian Munoz just really kind of letting John Rahm win? Man, I feel like if that was any other golfer, Rahm doesn't get that victory. Kind of sad to see there. But as people start to get in here, if people have questions about round 2, kind of here, they can get that in there. But let's get into the Corrales there. So let's make that pivot. That's gonna have to switch up the text box here as well. So the Corrales Championship, I'm pretty excited for this one, guys. Actually, I was able to max enter it as well, which you never get to max enter a secondary event. And just kind of putting it out there, if that was something we could normally do, probably would have been able to take down a GPP at the Puerto Rico Open, which kind of sucks, but still kind of cool as well. But just as a whole, the Corrales, the DraftKings has done a great job with pricing really this whole year, and that's probably something I should have led off with a little bit more. They've done a great job with pricing, so there's not that many great discount plays. There's one player in the 8K range that I'm really going to be on a ton, and he's going to be the right play, kind of like last week. And it's the theme of 2021 is that there's a lot of these plays that are just the correct plays, where for some reason or not they've been giving us cut sweats. It was Brandon Steele last week, gave us a cut sweat, and then he made the cut. And, pretty much just because we knew he was a good play, he went low on the weekend stretch, dominated, finished top 10. That's really been the theme of 2021, and it's been strange. And so for that player, to me, like a lot of you guys know, it's going to be Justin Suh there. I really think he's going to be a strong play. Top 5 recent form, course history, if you will. Pretty solid. 14th here in 2020, which was just in the fall. 35th at the Puerto Rico Open. Did miss the cut at the Bermuda, but he sucked a few years ago at the Bermuda, so he's going to be a strong play for you guys. Good stat fit. But yeah, round 1 showdown picks. What sucks is that I really can't do the live leaderboard this week just due to the Dell Technologies match play going on. Just a completely different format, so I just kind of took it down for this week. I might put it up just for the Corrales, though, here, potentially. We'll see. Hopefully. But yeah, round 1. I would, I would probably favor morning tee times if you can do that. I'm not sure. I'd probably just favor morning tee times. And then just pretty much, round 1, you pretty much just want to go with your main build for the most part. That's typically what you like to do. Yeah, so Brandon Wu, I hate his price point. If you ended up on Brandon Wu, I get it. Perfectly fine with that. I personally haven't been able to play him too much. Same thing with like Lee Hodges and Grayson Sigg and even Taylor as well. Those 4, and I'll just pull them up here. They're popping decently in the model because, once again, I don't like to skew the data too much. I want for all the users to be able to see it and kind of adjust to it. Lee Hodges. So these guys are all pretty much playing well on the Korn Ferry Tour, which, sure, that's a good thing. Not a bad thing to look at. And even Peter Uihlein was getting a decent amount of chatter, and I'll pull him up because I think Uihlein will be a little bit chalky as well. But yeah, Brandon Wu burned a lot of people because of his miscut at the Honda Classic. Played well at the Puerto Rico Open, though, so, we're getting 2 starts out of him. That's why he's really popping, especially with the comp course history there. Same thing with Lee Hodges, so he's popping up a ton as well. They're fine plays for me. Personally, I just really like Jonathan Vegas, really at that same price point on the top end between those 2 guys. I'll pull up Johnny V. So we've already seen him play well recently for the most part. 3 straight made cuts and a top 2 finish here at the Puerto Rico Open. He's a guy that, when he does play these tournaments, he typically does play well. Top 12 staff it. We kind of know what we're getting with Jonathan Vegas. So for me, I kind of like that a little bit better. I also do like Nate Lashley a little bit more as well. I don't know, for some reason, it does seem like people are always trying to play those young guns a little bit more as well. So, for me, I'm kind of going to be sticking away from those guys a little bit more. Risk reward, if you will. I'm not going to be taking that risk, but I definitely get it. I don't know, those Korn Ferry Tour guys, I don't know, for the most part, I haven't seen weeks where I was ever really kicking myself for not playing one of them. And especially the guys where we really didn't see anything that would suggest that they'd be a strong play, I guess, if you will. It's these guys that are in the tour that really shouldn't be playing in these events that typically I would kind of kick myself with in general. So, yeah, I guess if you're ending up on them, I don't want to talk you off of them because I don't mind them as plays. I'm just going a different route. And then let's see here. So I do want to mention Peter Uline a little bit more. I kind of mentioned that in passing. Oh, we don't need Johnny V pulled up. All right, so yeah, Peter Uline. A lot of people are liking him. He doesn't have that many stats, which kind of sucks. Okay, comp course history. I'm fine with that. 2 mid cuts in a row. People are liking what he did on the Corn Ferry Tour. He's fine as a play at that price point. But for me, I've kind of been ending up on Rob Oppenheim a decent amount. And I've also been ending up on Chase Seifert and Adam Shank a little bit more as well, who are guys that are pretty much in the exact same price point ranges, who I just like a little bit more as plays here for us this week. So we kind of look at Chase Seifert. To me, it's just like a standout play. If you guys can afford to pay up for Chase Seifert, which you should be able to, is AK, I would do that. But then I like Adam Shank. So Adam Shank really has played well at courses like this. And one thing I pointed out on the 9-to-5 write-up is that Bryce Garnett is like the 9th highest in terms of Vegas odds. And I bring that up because Adam Shank is pretty much a slightly worse version of Bryce Garnett. And, Adam Shank at 7.9 is intriguing to me. He's a guy that typically does play well at courses like this. He's a top 26 stat fit play, which, this week that's not exactly saying that much because, look at that. That's a bunch of horrible stats. But still, okay, I guess, recent form. 3 of his last 2 cuts made, then 2 tournaments off. He was playing horrible, but you weren't going to play him in those events anyways. He's okay. I don't mind Adam Shank. Then Rob Oppenheim casually catching my eye a decent amount, okay? So if he had simply not played at the Honda Classic, he would be at least an 8K play. Probably would be 8.5, to be honest with you guys, because he was coming off of, 3 out of 4 made cuts in a row with a top 10 finish there at the Puerto Rico Open. Comp course history-wise, 33rd place finish at this tournament in the fall. Top 28 stat fit. It was really not a bad play as a whole there. So I really don't mind Rob Oppenheim there. So for me, I was kind of finding, quality plays over Peter Uline. So I know I got a couple of questions about Peter Uline. For me personally, I just could not end up on him. Then I will say my boy Troy Merritt will be playing him a little bit here this week. Troy Merritt, I do like. 2 top 40 finishes comp course history wise. Not going to be a good stat fit. Not a good recent form. You kind of know the story. He went to the same college as I did for a year. And, whenever I can get him in a tournament where I feel decent about him, I'll play him. It's kind of like Steve Stricker. I always play him in at least one build just simply because, Madison ties. He loves Madison sports. He's a Wisconsin guy. I'm living in Madison currently, so I always like to play a little bit of Stevie there. Nice to see him do well last week as well. And then just, kind of just touching on some other plays here as we go through it. I do want to mention like the course history studs here. And this is something I didn't really go over on the 9-to-5 write-up too much because I don't think we should really pay attention to it all too much this week. Because for the most part, if players are playing in this event like 3 or 4 of the last, 4 years, I guess, if you will, if they're playing in this tournament, they're really not that good at golfers. That's just what it is. So I really don't want to look too far back because I want to focus on players that are actually like good golfers. But there were a bunch of names that kind of were just popping up with that good course history if we were to look back a little bit further than just the 1 year that I was. I'm just trying to find, there's a couple more that I don't want to leave off for you guys. So Swafford, yep. And there's 1 or 2 more. DJ Trahan. Let's see. That's pretty much it. There's a couple others there as well, but for the most part, I want to show you guys what it is, though. So Bryce Garnett typically does play well at tournaments like this. He's a former winner at this course as well. I kind of already mentioned him and Adam Shank are very similar plays where, if their game could carry over from events like this, they'd probably be on the tour a little bit more regularly. I don't mind those plays. And then we got Hudson Swafford, who Hudson Swafford won this event in the fall. He actually played well at this tournament the previous year as well. And then Graham McDowell, he was a former winner at this tournament as well. I believe he won it not in the 2020 season, but the 2019 season. And then Bryce Garnett won it in the 2018 season. We had DJ Trahan. DJ Trahan has made 3 straight cuts at this tournament. And then we look at the comp course history. He's made 3 out of 4 cuts as well. I don't know why Troy Merritt's still up there. But then Jonathan Beard here as well. He's a 9-5 value play this week. 3 straight made cuts comp course wise, and he's made 2 straight cuts here as well at this tournament, other than the one that we're showing here. So, he's a kind of a sneaky value play there for us as well this week. But I got about 2 more minutes here. It doesn't have to be too long of a live stream for this tournament. Just kind of wanted to get out to you guys, kind of recap that round 1 of the Dell Technologies match play, and that's something I can get back into here real quick as well. So just kind of pulling up my bracket here. If Bryson doesn't come through, that's going to be unfortunate for me. I had him winning because he had the easiest path on paper to advance, and he still does. He still does. Just needs to go out and win. But dang, taking the loss there opening round, that was not good. And that's what makes this event difficult, really. Because if you do have one bad day, it's really out of your control. And at that point, where typically if you have one bad round, you can somewhat bounce back, make the cut, and then have the weekend push like we've seen a lot this season. You can't always recover in match play, so kind of interesting there. But overall, it's okay so far. DJ won. Paul Casey, did he end up winning? I forget. Let me see. No, Casey lost. Oh boy, struggling so far. Let's see Hatton. Hatton halved. That's fine. Cole Crack with the clutch win. Kevin Streelman with the win. Billy Horschel with the win. That was nice to see. JT. So this is where it's interesting. This is where I differentiate a little bit on the 9-5 write-up. As the week went on, I actually started to favor a little bit of Louis Oosthuizen, and then like DK-wise, I really just kind of ended up on Oosthuizen, Kisner, and Matt Kuchar a lot. Speed, he ended up winning, right? Yeah, Jordan dominated. So hopefully he can move on. Harmon gonna need him to step up, that's for sure. Patrick Reed came through. Xander struggled. Cam Smith won. Berger dominated. And I kind of ended up on Berger a decent amount. I know a lot of people on 9-5 ended up on Daniel Berger a decent amount. We talk about that least path of resistance. He kind of just ended up having a pretty easy path to be able to move on. So hopefully that continues, because you looked at John Rahm, kind of the baby news came where he's due to have a baby over the next 2 weeks or so. He might be looking ahead to that a little bit more. He might not be as concentrated as much. I kind of took the other way because I was like, hey, this is really the last tournament where John Rahm can be fully focused on his golf game before, his wife might pop out a child, their firstborn. So it kind of went 2 ways there. End up winning, but then you got Ryan Palmer and Shane Lowry, who I both decently like, but that kind of made it us ended up on Daniel Berger a lot more, just naturally because it's the easier pick. So all in all, bracket looking okay, but it's so tough, guys, because this week, we're still, really 3 days away from knowing how well our DFS builds are truly doing. It's unlike any other tournament, and I'm really glad that this isn't one that we see all the time. It's nice for 1 week here, get the fun with it, but other than that, it would be a little bit too crazy for me. I really wish, though, and I don't get this, and I'm going to end on this. I don't get why DraftKings hasn't done this tournament setup for freaking tennis. It's that simple. I would love playing DFS tennis. I think everyone else would too if they could make lineups like this for freaking tennis. It would make it a lot more fun. Just throwing that out there. I feel like it is the exact same setup then as is golf, and I would love to get into some more tennis content. It's just not there. They do it round by round. Could you imagine making your golf PGA DFS build round by round? That wouldn't be fun at all. Like, we'd have to make a whole new build for round 2, which, showdown wise would be fine, but it just won't be fun for a whole tournament. But that's all I have for you guys for this live stream. Hope you enjoyed it. About 20 minutes here, quick, easy, without that fluff. So hopefully you guys have a good Corrales Championship, and hopefully you guys have a good I guess, round 2 and round 3 of the Dell Technologies match play. All right, I'm out. And as well, oh, shoot.